good afternoon to my viewers. This is Shirley with Spirit of Matter on my Study the Lunar Mansions with Me live. And this is Saturday, Mars hour. So, Saturday, Mars hour, soon to be Sun hour. With Mars in the ninth house, the ascendant is ruled by Jupiter, with Jupiter in the sixth, and the midheaven by Mercury, with Mercury in the eighth. Very weird. As you can see, I just felt like pressing record. The moon is conjunct in Neptune. The moon is right now conjunct in Neptune in the fourth house. Okay, but this is not the moon hour. So if it is a different hour, like a moon hour or a Jupiter hour for you, although Jupiter is in the sixth here, maybe you have a different ascendant. Maybe you want to do a moon Neptune work, but Neptune is retrograde, so I don't think that's qualifying. But the moon just crossed my ascendant, and the ascendant is in my 10th house, so I guess I just pressed record. So the lunar mansion. So yesterday I went over the 28 lunar mansion, but now I want to see if I had synchronicities to do with this, and I will also go over the next lunar mansion, which is the first lunar mansion. Okay, so the fish. I had something to do with the fish, but I don't remember. So this is the last lunar mansion up until 0 Aries. It's Al-Batan Al-Hut, the belly of the fish, a group of small stars in a carved line, which the Arabs make of a fish. It's basically, tropically, it's the last phase of, about the last phase of Pisces, tropical Pisces. And so we get this website, by the way, is magicandmastery.com, and she collected all the stuff we have on lunar mansions, with the quotations from the resources, and it's just a wonderful place to start that I'm showing you right now. So, good for trade, sewing, and medicine, good for marriage, indifferent for journeys, except for the third middle third of the night, when it's bad for journey. Bad. Okay, when bad. I don't know. Bad for. It's bad for entrusting somebody to someone or lending anything. Partnership will begin well but end badly. And I'm kind of curious, as we go about this lunar mansion, will I find a lunar mansion that is just really good for a long-lasting, back then it would be seen as marriage, but long-lasting romantic relationships, which back then would see as, long-lasting marriage that is actually good. Is there really such a thing? Is there even a placement in the sky? Or even the ancient astrologers, maybe they were afraid to say that this will last good because they never seen anything like it. I don't know. Projecting, maybe. I don't know. So, if you try to buy a slave, then they will be very proud. And but if somebody is captured, they will not leave prison. Okay? So, it's not good for captivity. The 28th lunar mansion is Arexa, and it's time for bringing fish together in one place. Okay, so this is about bringing elements that are even contradictory into one place, and the talisman itself is kind of like a hook. Okay, I read it on yesterday's episode. I will read it again. When the moon has come to this mansion, fashion of brass, which is in one manner a seal, in which fashion the image of a fish having a colored spine, on which you should write the name of the lord of this mansion. Sense it with the skin of a sea fish. After this, tie a string around it and throw it in the water, in a place where you wish the fish to come together. All of the fish in the area around it will immediately gather about it and allow you to harvest them. And know that Anuxi is the name of the lord of this mansion. So this is a very unique talisman where basically it's not just a talisman. You actually throw it into the water and then you fishes. So Usually when you make a talisman, the talisman is something that you wear or you bury somewhere. And here we have you design, um, you design something for the fishes to gather around. So it's very transient, of course, like they will gather around it and you will harvest them. And you cover it with the fish, so you can only do it next month. Um, so to gather a lot of fishes, and it's basically for fishermen. So the value of the fish increases harvest and merchandise, helps travelers through danger, strengthens prisons, and causes marital happiness and loss of treasure. With the moon here, travel and take purgatives. So good for harvesting, um, good for merchandise, helps travelers through danger. Actually, today I open up the day with Shani mantras and later Shiva mantras, and there's some loving and ownership meditation. And then I don't know even how I ran into how to settle free on land and what makes you eligible to claim land in it, I think it was in UK. And then I researched how to found the country and all kinds of stories of people that created the country for themselves. Um, so apparently it's kind of like land squatting. And there are places where you can settle and you can check in Google Maps um, for plots of land that you may try to settle that are uncalled for. And will allow you to be there, though you do need to arrive there. So that was my day. So how to find free land and what can you build on the land and kind of weird rules around this. So that's interesting. I don't know to link it directly to anything, but it's just like, oh, there was an opportunity. I seized it to get to know more information and kind of look into it more deeply. So, yeah, favorable for business, travel, catch fish, and conjural happiness signifies loss of valuables. Make talismans for crops and trade and make love charms. So again, they say a relationship begins in this mention, may end badly. Perhaps magically it's good for love magic. I don't know. Um, and talismans for crops and trade. So again, now the moon is conjuncting a retrograde Neptune. So traditionally, it's not supposed to be of an issue. Because the moon situation is good even for this episode, but it's a decreasing moon, so it's maybe good for protection, but here it's like to increase stuff, so I'm not sure. Christopher Warnock, 21st century. When this mention appears, it indicates that we too are in a state of completion. We are ready to reap the harvests of our efforts, yet we must not be passive. Like the fishermen, we must cast our net into the waters. The fish will not simply jump into the boat. This is also a mention of faith and guidance. Its appearance confirms that we are guided in our journey, that we will pass through the dangers and obstacles and achieve our goal. The great fish resembles the wishing fish of the Thousands of and One Nights. We can attain our heart's desire if we accept the guidances that is ours for the asking, and ensure that we are active rather than passive participants in our journey. So now that the moon is decreasing, I'm kind of like, okay, I don't know what to do with this particular one. I did manage to meditate, but here it's like to be active and harvest something. And I had a lot of ideas for new things, which is not the right timing to sow the seeds. Like I need this growing moon, I need elections for these things. So the harvest is more, I guess, emotional, like feeling peace, at ease, happy. Um, that, I guess, is how I experience it. I know there was something with a fish, but I don't remember. So this was for today's lunar mention. Keywords: realization of potentials, cohesion and gathering together, culmination, attainment, joy, harvesting. So now let's go to tomorrow's lunar mention that starts probably even today as the moon ingresses into Aries, just depending on the daylight time by you. And this is Al Sharatain, or the lands. Again, it will be a decreasing moon even tomorrow, but let's see. Al Sharatain, which means the two signs. From 0 Aries to 12 degrees 51 minutes and 22 seconds Aries. A nickname is mentioned, the lands. When the moon is here, it's auspicious time to passionately pursue a course of action. So for those of you joining now, this is the website is Magic and Mastery that I'm reading from. I'm Shirley with Spirit of Matter, and of course you can subscribe to my channel. We have my PayPal. If you kind of wish to donate me on my journey of growing crops and growing my food and learning about land, real estate, astrology, and whatnot, and making some art. So being a good person, okay, doing what helps me to be a good person. So yeah, do act boldly, independently, try something new, make a change, take a stand, travel. Do not bring a partnership, marriage, or other action that require begin a partnership, marriage, or other action that require compromise. Okay, tropical Aries is not so good for compromise. Okay, um, so it's good for travel. It's good for trying something new. Of course, it's beginning with 0 degree Aries. Okay, the head of the zodiac, and from Al-Biruni, 10th century. The first Al-Sharatin, the two signals. The first mention is marked by two bright stars on the horns Saruga of Aries. They are disposed in the north and south line. The apparent distance between them, about a fathom, being the same as that between the southern one, the southern, not southern, the southern one, and the third smaller star, are also called butters, nata. Aben Ragel, 11th century. Good for taking medicines, pasturing livestock, making a journey, except second hour. Okay, so the second hour that the moon is in this mention. Dorotheus, good for buying tame animals, for journeys, especially voyages, for making arms, if you want to make weapon, planting trees, cutting hair or nails, putting on new clothes. Bad for contracting marriage, holds for moon in Aries. So the entire moon in Aries is, Aries is the individual, and marriage usually signifies two or more. But, making partnerships or buying slaves who will be bad, disobedient, or run away. I have it in the second house. If captured, prison will be bad and strong. Okay, so not good for captivity. From Picatrix, 11th century. The first of these is for destruction and depopulation. Oh, okay. Of places, and is called Al-Nat. When the moon is passed into this dimension, fashion an image of a black man with his hair wrapped and bound in a black cloth, standing upright on his feet and holding his right hand a lance in the fashion of a fighter. You should make the image in a ring of iron and sense it with liquid storax, and make with this seal in black wax and say, "Thou, O Geris, put to death specific person, son of specific person swiftly and soon, so at least it's a swift death, and destroy him. And if you observe this method, then it shall be as you wish. And know that Geras is the name of the Lord of this mansion. Okay. Like obviously, you think about when people talk about suicide ideation, and then this is suicide is a terminal solution to a temporary problem. Okay, then I say also murder. In many cases, it is temporary problem. Okay, if you absolutely must murder someone because you are in prison or somebody locked you, so you must murder them, then this is what you need. Of course, if somebody imprisons you, then of course you can write their name if you know who is their name of the father, which you usually don't know. Or you can just signal that this person who imprisons me, I want them to be put to death swiftly. Like, no, it's not about revenge. It's about solving the problem. Okay, and then they're dead, and you can go out free. Then that's probably why you would want to use it, especially when it's mentioned it's bad for captivity, but at least this is good for killing if somebody imprisons you or something like that. So you probably don't have a cell phone if you are in this situation or this method, but that might be useful to some. From Cornelius Agrippa, 16th century. Alnat horns of Aries, journeys and discord, the destruction of someone. A black man in garment made of hair and girdled round, casting a small lance with his right hand. From Vivian Robson, 20th century, Al-Sharatine Beta with Gamma, Aries, the two signs cause discord and journeys. Causes discords and journeys. With the moon here, buy cattle, plant and take voyages. So it's good to plant, but then you might want the moon to be increasing. Or if you already have something that has roots, maybe you want to just put it in the soil. I think you can do this with this one. But to germinate things, I think is preferred with the moon growing. Causes discords and journeys with the moon here. Yeah, so this mansion is now considered to begin the series. Peter Stockinger, 21st century. El-Sharatan, the horn of Aries, related to the star on the left foot of Andromeda. Ardent imagination, taste for the occult sciences, and changes in employment throughout life. Make pentacles for journeys and for working of spells of love and hatred. So I don't know what, like, okay, how can you have willingly consensual sex without partnership? I'm not talking about marriage. I mean, you need cooperation, communication, this, that, but it's kind of like, it's very weird. Christopher Warnock, 21st century. Al-Sharatin, the moon begins her passage through dimensions with a great burst of energy in the horns of Aries. The warlike ardor of Aries the ram, ruled by the planet Mars, is necessary for all beginnings. It provides the impetus to move forward, to overcome inertia, and to change the status quo. This mention is auspicious for journeys and for taking medicine, as here the moon transmits the force and power vital to breaking the whole of illness over the body. Okay, the breakthrough. Keywords: divine mind, primal transmission, the power of creation, destruction, active energy, and dynamic force. So tomorrow the moon will be in this lunar mansion. It will be decreasing, so it's better for destruction than creation. But you can see how, like, the start of something new is the burst of energy, like Warnock says here, to overcome inertia. And it's the very passionate energy that overcomes, that assert itself. So that's the lunation for tomorrow, Al-Sharatin, or the lands. So this was a relatively short episode. I thank you for watching. If you like this channel, you can subscribe, click the bell. If you want to help me be a good person and do what helps me be a good person, like growing my food, painting, feeding my pets, and so on and so forth, then you can donate me at PayPal. I wrote my email down below. So yeah, I think that's about it. And I'll see you in my next episode. Bye bye.